All power to you.
As small brewers, and guys like myself and the other guys around the place, you know, we're all self-taught. You know, we learn by doing, and you can only refine that process, I think, just by repeating it over and over and trying and making the odd mistake with, you know, how you make a beer. Right, so just let that settle for a second. So we'll just bung this lid on and we'll it's going to sit there for about 45 minutes and just let the mash settle in, and then after that time period we'll start recirculating it and really get those sugars rinsed through there.
Okay, so what are you doing?
We've just had the mash in for about 45 minutes or so. She's been sitting a little touch high. It's just under 70 degrees, which is probably just a touch higher than what I was originally hoping for, but like I said earlier, it's just about slightly colder in here, so I went a little bit higher on the temp, but it'll still be pretty good overall for the type of beer and the type of final product we're trying to get out of it. We're just going to start recirculating this mash through just for a few minutes, just while our sparge water is heating up, and we're just going to give the grains a good rinse over during that time. And the idea with this is obviously we want to run it through pretty slowly, just to make sure we're not disturbing the grains underneath, as it'll naturally start to filter itself and clear up the beer, so it's not kind of cloudy and murky. And obviously this is the point in brewing where you just get to sit back and appreciate the delicious smell that comes out of it. So we'll just leave that going for a wee while. Like I say, you can see the nice rich dark colour starting to come through. I guess we're just draining the last little bit out of the mash here. So we've had our sparge water kind of come through. Yeah, just that last little bit's draining through just to get up to that pre-boil volume. There'll be a wee bit just left in the bottom here, which we'll probably just pull out. This will take a wee bit of time just to come up to a boil, but shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, once it gets to a boil, this will really take off. You've got to fight the boil a bit. I think it's one of the parts of the brewing process which you can have some issues with and can get a bit out of control. And then what we'll do is we'll boil this one for probably about 75 minutes. Add a couple of hops in at the start for some bittering, and then obviously, like I say, this is our milk stout, so we're gonna dump a big helping of lactose in, which is milk sugar, towards the end of the boil. Be cooling it down from there, chucking it in the transferring it to the fermenter, and yeah, and then we'll start emptying that grain. So this is our coffee and chocolate stout. Just a new beer we've just done. So it's come out really nice. I'm really happy with it. We used cacao nibs from Otago and cold brew coffee from Harpoon. So I both added those in at the end of the ferment. And yeah, pretty happy with how it's come out. This one's 6.8%, so it's a wee bit.
Bit of an ass kicker?
Wee bit of a kicker. But the idea with this one, you know, big chocolate aroma, with a bit of a coffee hit to finish. Yeah, and I guess what I was trying to create with this is when we first went into Otago to get the cacao nibs, you know, you walk in the factory and you just get that hit of coffee in your face, of chocolate, sorry, in your face. And I thought, oh, that'd be great if we could get that initial feeling into the beer, you know. So when you pour it, that initial thing you get is that big aroma of the chocolate.
Absolutely.
And also a lot of people, when they probably think of chocolate orientated stouts, they might think of a more milk chocolate or a sweeter chocolate, whereas this is more probably leaning towards the darker chocolate types of flavours that come through in it. And mainly a big part of that also not only is from the cacao nibs that we've dumped into it, we've also put quite a bit of dark chocolate malt into it as well. So that's kind of probably just the underlying malt base already had probably quite some good chocolatey tones. But those cacao nibs in there have just kind of boosted it. The first couple of pours off the tank when we first made it were just incredible, you know, and yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's come out. So,
oh, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, Kent. Ideally, that type of beer you'd maybe take out of the fridge. You know, you keep it cold, take it out, let it sit for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then kind of pour a glass.
So it wants to be cool rather than cold.
Yeah. Just let it even the way I like to drink a beer like that is I like to take it out, leave it for a bit. Drink out of a smaller glass. So you might pour a wee half glass. You'll taste it when it's still on the colder side of things. You'll kind of just sip away at that. You'll add a wee bit more to it. The beer will start to warm up. The flavours will start to come through a bit more because from those temperature changes, you actually get a full range of flavour throughout the beer as the temperature comes to that kind of room temperature. But Dunedin this time of year, it's still not like it's 30 degrees or anything. And the flavour does change, and you will notice it. The chocolate in there is really good. It's really, like I say, in terms of what I was hoping to create with it, it's come through really nicely. Personally, I really like dark beers. I think I try and, I try and really kind of not force it on people at times, but I try and encourage people to maybe, give them a go, because I think it's something that a lot of people maybe shy away from. They're quite happy to drink the pale ales and the IPAs and things, and get into that because they're a bit more familiar with the lighter styles of beer. But me personally, I've always been a big fan of the porters, stouts, that type of thing. So yeah, I try and kind of push those on people from time to time.
That's why you brew the way you brew, and that's why Noisy Brewery, that's why you have this product. Yeah. Because it's, when I said to you, what's you in a glass? Yeah. That's probably it.
Well, this is the type of thing, that both those beers, if we talk about the name Noisy, it's obviously a play on my surname. Guys I used to work with used to call me Noisy, so, it was one of those names where, when I first was making beers at home, that everyone used to refer to them as the Noisy Brews, so the name just stuck and it started rolling off the tongue. But I thought about the word itself, how we wanted to put ourselves out there with the name. And I liked it because it was kind of those words that, I think it helped describe what the types of beers should be like. They should be a big, bold, flavoursome type of beer, which is it's a big, bold kind of word, so it should naturally relate to what you're drinking, which then should sit with people, and remember it because of that. And those are just two examples, I think, of where that has come through quite well. That kind of connection to the name.
No doubt about that. I definitely think that I could pick this, pick a bottle of that up anywhere in the country, and I'd know pretty much straight away whose beer it is. Yeah,
there's a lot of really good breweries out there making really, really good beers. So, us as someone who's relatively new and fresh, what do we do to come into the market that we can create that can stand out and make a point of difference one way or another, And if we can provide beers that are fresh to the local market, local area, and we can make things like this, which are big and bold and punchy, that have flavour, that have complexity to them, because it's actually quite a complex beer. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do, to like I say, get into the market and do things that are big and bold, like the types of ones we've just had.
What's craft beer?
Yeah.
Is craft beer making something that just tastes like every other beer?
No,
or
it's
is
not.
Is it experimenting with things and coming up with bold flavours and complex flavour profiles? Because at the end of the day, it's craft.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to put their stamp of creativity on the brew.
They do. Yeah, 100% agree with that. I just think for us, trying to come in at this point, like I say, you've got to be able to put something on the table that people really pick it up and go, shit, that's good, I really like that. It's got punch, and you remember it too. And like you say, people might struggle to sit there in a 30 degree day, 25 degree day and drink that, but I'd quite enjoy it.
Full power to you.